Welcome to Recreate with Canva, where we find a gorgeous design online and try to recreate it within Canva to extend the capabilities of the platform. Today we have some really nice looking social media templates, courtesy of an excellent designer, freeject.net, which I'll link to in the description. And today we're going to focus on these really nice looking orange ones and see if we can't recreate in Canva. Let's get started. So as mentioned, these three come from the excellent designer freeject.net. This was found on their Behance. In addition, they also do some Photoshop tutorials on YouTube you should check out. Specifically, they actually show a Photoshop tutorial for how to do some of those templates. So it's definitely worth checking out. We'll link to both of those in this one. But what we're going to try to do is recreate this orange one, which really kind of caught my eye and had some elements we sort of see with Canva. And the more interesting part too is this really drives home what I think is a really powerful use of Canva in ensuring that elements exist on the board itself. So having things kind of bleed off of it to create unique layouts and shapes. So let's get started. We'll hop over to Canva here. We brought the design in just for reference. So let's go ahead and create a new screen. And we'll get started with that. So first up, we'll suggest let's find a photo that we can put in the background, and then we'll lay things on top of it. So let's go over to our photos. Let's say sitting. We'll find somebody kind of in the bottom right. Let's see, that's kind of close. Let's put on the filter for free for our case here. Sitting, sitting, sitting. This one looks kind of interesting, I think. Now it's on the wrong side though, so let's put that to the right. Actually, this one looks a little bit nicer. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to flip it though. So the person's kind of somewhat adjacent to that. Increase them. Okay, so now let's adjust and see if we can't get some of these orange floating shapes. So we would be looking for elements. I want to search for blob and see if we can get a couple shapes. There's the some animated ones too, which would make for an interesting effect as a video on a social post as opposed to an image, but that's all right. Now blob is being a bit specific. Let's try just shape. And that's not quite getting it for us either. So what I might do is, I know that inside of gradients there tends to be some nice curves that we might be able to use. So let's try gradient. Yeah, see these type of shapes we should be able to use. Okay, so first one, let's get this bottom left corner, and it kind of up and around and swings back in. So I think we'd be fairly well served by maybe a couple, really. Let's try this one and let's ungroup it and move it around. So let's go here. I was curious if it's going to let me ungroup it to get the individual elements. It doesn't seem like it will, so not a problem. Let's go with this one instead. As you can see, there's a lot that are fairly close that we could try. And actually this one looks pretty good. You know, plenty of ways to skin it in this case, but so this is what I really like about Canva, is that you are working, what will output is just this square. And that's really useful when you're trying to do shapes, is that you're not confined by these edges. You can go right off and then use that to create some interesting shapes. So that's not the exact shape. I think you could really get even closer depending on how accurate you really want to be. But I don't mind that as much. Just that this one's a little sharp actually. So let's try this one. It's looking a little better. Yeah, let's go with that. Okay, now this has a gradient, so it's multiple colors. However, we don't have to deviate from that. We can definitely just have it one flat. So the tool I constantly reference with the eyedropper tool. So if you are in Chrome, you can. This is a free download for the Chrome extension. Amazingly useful. So I've clicked that. I'm going to grab this orange Now, of course, you could do this with your own brand colors as opposed to sticking, but we're challenging ourselves to be close. So we just paste it right into the color, and there's 1, document colors, 2, 3. So we'll just choose all 3 of the green and make it the same orange. And we are off to a good start. Now we need another shape on the top and the bottom. Now it looks like these ones are connected visually. Like it looks like it implies there's a connection here, but we don't have to necessarily follow that. We can just do the same thing with 2 shapes and make the same implication. So we need up and curved. I almost think we go with this one, which might be that same shape, honestly. Let's see. Yeah, like that top corner here, I think, might suit us. So if we go, it's a little bit flatter. So I'll tell you what, let's actually let's cheat a little bit and combine a few shapes to get what we want. So I will increase it like that to get that top part. And then what I'm going to do is copy and paste. And now I'm going to kind of join these edges until the curves kind of match up. And create the new shape. But it's the other additional benefit where, let's see, is that affecting the curve? A little bit there. So we got to move it off. When things are the same color, you can really sneak things around. When you layer them, you're able to join them and kind of come up with any shape you would want. And you can imagine how you'd use the entire library of shapes that exist and create basically anything you would need. So I'm just having a little trouble getting that edge to pump up perfectly the way we want without affecting it. There we go. Maybe we can make that larger. Again, we're not really confined by anything as far as how big or small we make it. We can scale this to suit our needs. So I think I'll keep it there. Let's grab these 2. I keep saying let's leave it there, and then I can't help myself but try to refix it a little bit more. One of the fun things as you learn more and more with design, where you just kind of get a eye for things and you want to just go a little further, make it a little better, a little better. There we go. I can live with that. So move it around. Yeah, and you can see how you'd be able to play a lot more with that. We can even group this now, just to make sure I'm not going to have to deal with the individual elements. There we are. That's a happy shape. I might have spent a little too much time on that, getting that perfect, but I just want to show how you can kind of layer anything that's the same color on top, and it ultimately becomes one larger shape for you to use. Okay, so let's get this larger curve here on the top. So it kind of comes around and gives us a big swoop. Let's see. I wonder if we start with this, make it large enough. Looks like it'd be similar, but not quite what we're looking for. So let's try. So many blobs to choose from, so little time. Lots. But I think for the purpose of this video, I kind of want to decide maybe a suboptimal choice, and you can obviously see how you're able to keep driving for that perfection and really get the exact shape that you would want. So I'm actually going to do this on the design itself to better mimic the shape. So that first curve. I think we'll go real crazy with the number of adding it, really see how many we can mashed together to get a more perfect shape that we're looking for. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So I think you can be a lot more specific, a lot more true to form, or, you know, again, like ideally too, as I've always mentioned with these things, the idea is not to take it exactly and mimic it. You know, you really want to be inspired by it. So the general idea here would be, you know, I like the flow of these shapes and how they kind of go against the colors, so I would do something similar, but obviously not the same. You never want to do an exact copy. That helps no one. Stick with inspiration. So 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna Control X, come over to here, Control V, looking great. So we can wrap it up fairly quickly now because we should be able to just add the dots into the top. What's great too is that once you have these, if you were to recreate it, you could just reposition them any number of ways. Get rid of this one here, and maybe we'll do that at the end here. You can see what you just shift everything and then change the photo as you need it, and all of a sudden you have a template saved inside your Canva that you can reuse. You know, at any point you can just add a new photo. You know, as soon as we have it, we're just able to now use the same fun type of design as many times as we need. Let's get back to where we were. Great, and now we're going to need these dots. So one way to do it would be to create these dots one by one, create a row, duplicate that row, duplicate that row. I am curious if Canva does have an element of dots that will suit our purposes. I think in a previous video we actually came across this same issue where it had some series of dots but not exactly as we wanted it. Yeah, so they do have some dots, but it seems to be they're always offset a little bit, so not perfectly nice rows like we see with the design. So that's okay. We'll use that as a good excuse to draw and duplicate a whole lot. So we'll start with a circle. I'm going to keep it about there. Okay, that one's a little bit bigger. I'm okay with that. We're going to make that white. So one thing I want to check is it'd be nice to keep track of them by having them different colored, but I want to make sure I could change them all at the same time. Seems like I can, so that's great. So as soon as I press, I find this a bit finicky. If you click and I start to drag it and then I press Alt, Shift, Control, anything, it doesn't really do anything for me. If I click, don't move anything, press Control, Alt, and Shift, it allows me to recreate it. So you can obviously click it, Control V, paste it. There you go. You can now place it wherever you need. You can also just click, but before you move it, Control, Alt, and Shift. Command, Alt, and Shift should be on a Mac. And then you can click and drag and it will duplicate for you, which is really useful. So now that we have all of those, we want to make sure that it's perfectly lined up, perfectly evenly spaced between all of them to make it look even. So we've created our row of dots. Now let's group it and see if it'll allow us. It did too. So I grouped everything, and now to do that quickly, I clicked and dragged while holding Control, Alt, and Shift. So click, press Control, Alt, Shift, then move your mouse. And that allowed me to create duplicate it as a row of dots to save a bit of time. And there they all are. So now we can select them all. We can put them as white. We can ungroup. So because each individual row was grouped, but now we can group. So we've created our dots. So Control X to cut it. I'll now go to our final design and paste it. What's really nice too is it pastes in place. Wherever you copy it from, if you move it to a different board, it's going to paste it in place. There's a bit of a darker filter on this, and I don't mind that as an effect. Let's give that a shot here. I'll click on the photo in the back. We'll go to Adjust, and this allows us to edit the photo. So we can reduce the brightness a bit, reduce the contrast a bit to wash it out. Let's see, even saturation maybe too. Just to help ensure the elements on top have a bit more contrast. Okay, so now let's see if we can find a square with lines in it. I believe I've seen a circle with lines as well. Hopefully we can save some time. Now we got circles, so let's go ahead and look for that. There's a similar one. Let's see. Is it going to help us with a circle with lines? Here's one with photos, like a photo that then has the lines, which we might be able to trick it in giving us what we want. Seems like we might have to. So what we can do, okay, so let's add this in. And then as you can see, so it is a photo effect. Well, actually, I gotta triple check this would work. Nope, looks like it's gonna add the photo in the back, so that's not gonna help us. Not a problem. I thought that the photo would go into the lines and the rest of it would disappear, but that's not the case. So looking for circle with lines, not seeing what we need, so we're going to have to come up with a different way to create that. Oh, never mind. Got it. Saved a bit of time. Oh, I have spoken too soon. That's not what we need. I forgot it's kind of a donut shape. I got some animated ones, which isn't helping us. I do know what they have is inside the grids, I believe there is, oh sorry, I should say frames, my apologies, frames. I do seem to recall there was a, donut shape. So I think the way we're going to trick it is we're going to do the download and upload trick, one of my favorites. And we're going to take this donut. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a new page. We are going to create this line with oranges. We're going to create a bunch of an image that has a bunch of orange lines. And then we're going to download it and then upload it into this shape here. We'll make it a transparent PNG so that when it goes through, we'll still be able to see through it. So let's actually get that done. Elements. Let's go square. Put this in. Let's choose orange. Yeah, once you realize that you can download and upload things, it really brings forth a lot of unique potential for you. So copy and paste. Fairly spaced out, so let's go with that. I'm not worrying too much about the positioning here because I know I'm going to be able to do that at the end. There's all that. Position that horizontally. Great. Now, if you don't have Canva Pro, there's background tools that you can use, Paint or Preview if you're on a Mac. There'd be a bunch of free ways that you could download the photo and then get rid of the background. However, I have Canva Pro, and just for expediency's sake, I'm going to download this as a transparent PNG. Download transparent background, only the third page. And done. Now, what we should be able to do is we'll drag this up here. So you can see now this is an image that has transparency, but an image, that means that you can do adjustments, you can crop it, and more notably, you should be able to drag it into a frame. And there we have it. Now you can see actually I made a mistake because this version of it is actually a much lighter orange. So let's see about just adjusting the tint to get us to where we want. Tint and the brightness. The saturation, brightness. So, you could always come back down here to actually change the appropriate one, but because now it's an image, we have that ability to change it, and that's going to make it a little bit faster. You could do things a little more true to form if you want to make the lines a bit thinner. I think I went a little bit thick, but that should work just fine for us. Let's move that over there. This upload and download trick, it really extends the capability of what you can do once you wrap your head around the fact that you're going to be able to create any element that doesn't exist, and then you get the additional benefits of all the photo editing tools and frames and grids that the Canva comes with. So now we need a square with those same lines. So we can look at, so we have this one here, except it's not rounded corners. Oh, there we go. it was bound to be easy eventually, right? So let's go ahead and, oops, let's pick a color from the page. Let's grab that exact orange. Eyedropper tool coming in handy for us again. Choose this gray. Now it looks like it's facing the other way. And that's placed just above here. I kind of prefer their design to this one. I just like how much more rounded it is. Let's see if we have, let's see if it's worth trying with the frames. If it has a rounded edge on it. Because we have these, but I don't think. So actually, if we use one with just, let's see if it has a square with rounded corners. I'm not sure I've seen that though. Yeah, not seeing it there. It's either circle or a full kind of square, funky shape. A bit bizarre, honestly. You'd almost expect it to be a nice square with rounded corners, but here we are. We could still absolutely work with that. So let's add a little bit of text. We'll do, so this has to be much smaller. This one too. That's going to need to be a bit bigger so I can fit in my text. Okay, so let's go with text. I think just a heading. It says social media. Let's go with let's instead say recreate. Open Sans I think will be fine as a font. Just not the extra that it currently is. That's feeling all right. Let's get that into bold. Now I think looks like the letters are spaced a little bit wider. So let's go ahead and, oops, that's line height. That's not going to do us any good. So space out the letters a little bit. Let's blow up that size. It goes over top of it. Recreate. Let's add a subheading, Open Sans. Recreate with Canva. And that too seems to be, the letters seem to be a little bit further apart, so we will do the same. There that is. Now there's a few extra little shapes we have. Well, one is we have the website there. We'll do the same one. Again, a great designer checkout, so that's at freeject.net. Let's just copy this text, move it up or this way. Freeject.net, extend it out. I think the spacing on that's even further. I keep wanting to hit that line height. Reduce the size. It looks like it's all capital as well. So you could go back and type it out. What's really fortunate in the action bar here, you'll see this, which allows you to very easily just capitalize everything. I think the letters are really far out from what I was seeing there. Super small as well. Now, I'm at the max for what I can do with the letter spacing, so we're going to have to accept that as a constraint. You, of course, could duplicate each independent letter when it's nice and small and space them out if you want to be really true to form, but I'm happy to kind of let that limitation stand. Lastly, it looks like we have a few X's and O's, so a little 2019 in the corner. Copy and paste. And let's stick with our limitation as far as about that size. We don't introduce too many texts. Now we need a circle, a really thick circle. Let's get that over here. That's done in that same orange. Doesn't seem to be letting me change the color of that. Not a problem. So let's do a different type of trick. So I can't find that exact shape of the O as far as like its thickness and its size, but fortunately because it's on a flat background, that gives us a lot of opportunity for how we might fake it. What I mean by fake it is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to change this to its final color. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to lay it exactly on top and then reduce it. And then turn this new one into the same background color. That allows me to create or give the illusion that it's cut out. Now this trick of course doesn't work if it's on top of a photo, but because it's a flat background, we can sneak it out. Now we can do the same thing if we don't have an appropriate X. You can see we have this X here that we need to get. Let's see. In the interest of time, I'm going to be happy with that X. Seems to be it is different from theirs, but you could definitely take two squares and just place that however you want. Next we have a C with a white. So another way to do this is if we can take that same shape, bring it about to where we want it. Now we're going to turn this into white. And now we can take another square. Because it's on a flat background, we can use this to cut it off in half. Just like so. And that tricks it. Now that's all fine and good. That's not going to work up here. So let's see if we can find a half circle that will suit us. This looks good. And even better, it's going to let us change its color. So we'll paste that here. Where does that exist? Just up to the left. And there we have it. Recreated within Canva with a few simple tricks, most notably understanding that with layering and with flat color shapes, you can layer a bunch of them on top and position them just so to recreate any shape or size that you would want to create. You can, on that same type of flat, you can cut items off, you can stack and layer things to make it look as if items are cut out, or you can see through them, editing the photo to increase the contrast between it, doing line heights and duplication of a bunch of small shapes, making sure that you use the tools that they're all aligned perfectly so they are evenly spaced and look really organized. And with Canva, the ability to, and even better, the downloading of elements. If you can't find it inside Canva, you just create it yourself on a different board, download it, upload it, and then edit it and move it around as you need it. So lots of fun little Canva tricks to be able to create just about anything you want. So that's been a Recreate with Canva. If you come across a particular design you'd love to see recreated in Canva, send it my way through my website at Just Enough Design or as a comment down below. Either way, I would love to get to it. So cheers to your great looking work.